What is going on, guys? It's the MaD Dragon. We have finished our first round of the Six Nations, and what a great first round. I had almost every call wrong. Every team turned up in some interesting ways. Scotland played out of their skin against England. Ireland tried as hard as they could with 14 men for like 75 minutes. It was a great week of rugby. Absolutely loved it. We are going to dive into that in some previews that we're doing for the next week's rugby. But what I thought might be fun to do is create a team of the week. I'm not going to go off sort of official stats and say this guy made the most meters, therefore he's the best. This is just going to be people that just impress me. In each position, I'm going to pick people based on their shirt number each week that they played that week, because some people are interchangeable, and I don't want to pick some people that could play winger and also centre and put them in mix and match and try and create like an ultimate team. I'm just going to pick people that I think played really well in that shirt that week, and I thought it'd be a bit of fun to do, and maybe you guys can drop down in the comments. Obviously this is all just my opinion, there's no official stats that I'm going off here, just people that impress me, create my team of the week, and let you guys drop down in the comments who would make your team of the week. So starting off with the position number 1, there were a couple of big contenders for this number 1 shirt actually. I thought Cian Healy had a really good game in that Wales game, having to fight very hard, especially at scrum time, being a man down in the scrums. Thought he played really well. Rory Sutherland was another one I thought did really well in the Scotland game, really dominating in the breakdown areas. Thought he did really well. But my number 1 for the team of the week has to go to Wyn Jones from Wales. I thought he had a superb game, was just defensively brilliant all over the pitch. He had a couple of turnovers in terms of jackling, which I thought was great for a prop to be seeing. So my number 1 is going to be Wyn Jones. Number 2, there were slightly less competitors for. I thought Herring had a sort of on and off game. It was a bit extremist. One person that did really impress me actually was George Turner. Thought he did really well for Scotland. He had a couple of mistakes, but overall I think he had quite a good game. But I think my number 2, bit controversial, I'm going to pick Jamie George. In an England team that did not perform very well at all, Jamie George did actually stand out to me very well in that number 2 position. He had a try-saving tackle right at the end, holding the ball up over the line. I thought his defensive work was probably some of the best out of the England team in that game, and I thought he did work very hard, and of course he did manage to stop that try. So I'm going to give my number 2 to Jamie George. Number 3, another few competitors for the number 3 shirt. Xander Fagerson I thought was absolutely brilliant. He had a couple of really good runs, which is nice to see a prop doing, being a real influence there. Tom Francis I thought had another really good game in terms of tackle rate, just working his ass off. I think he had a good number of tackles in there. I think he might have got the most tackles in the game. But I think for me, the number 3 that stood out the most was Andrew Porter. Every time Andrew Porter ran with the ball in hand, I think he made about 5 meters. He just carried on going. People were tackling him, and he just dragged them across the ground on every single carry. I thought he was really good. I thought he's a very good attacking prop. My number 3 is going to be Andrew Porter. My number 4, there were only a couple of options here. One was going to be Itoje. I thought Itoje actually did quite well in that England team, especially getting under the skin of Ali Price. He had like 3 charge downs in that first half. I thought he did really well considering everyone around him wasn't performing very well. I thought Itoje was pretty standout for that England team. But my number 4 has to go to Tadhg Beirne. What a game that guy had. He was everywhere. He was carrying the ball, he was tackling, he scored a try, he was winning lineouts, he was doing everything. Absolutely, to me, Tadhg Beirne is my number 4 team of the week. At number 5, people are going to be a little bit shocked by this. I thought Johnny Gray actually had a really good set. I thought he did really well at line-out time. I thought his set play was doing really well. And now people that have watched the channel for a long time will know I don't like picking players that are good just because of their name or who they are in rugby. And there's a couple on this list actually that will probably surprise some people who've watched the channel for a little while. But my number 5, I'm going to pick Alun Wyn Jones. And this is because I think Alun Wyn Jones against Ireland probably had one of the better games I've seen him play in a long time. He seemed to be all over the pitch. He was making some really good last-ditch tackles, managing to shut down some balls getting wide. And I think considering Wales only played a 14-man team, Wales seemed under a lot of pressure. He did guide the ship well. He was getting his tackles. He was doing okay in terms of the set plays, not in lineouts. We won't go into how bad Wales seemed to be at the lineouts. But overall, I thought Alun Wyn Jones had a really good game. And to me, I'm going to pick him as my number 5. At number 6, the position where everyone seemed to go wrong, basically. Dan Lydiate went out with an injury almost instantly in that Wales-Ireland game. We had Peter O'Mahony getting red-carded. Sam Underhill wasn't playing for England, and I don't think the replacement was that brilliant. So my number 6 that did stand out for me was Dylan Cretin. I thought he had a great game. I thought overall he played really well. Again, defensively really good, at the breakdown really, really good. Managed to get himself a try, not something we normally see from him, so really glad that he managed to get a try in that game. Thought he played really well overall, so he's going to be my number 6. At number 7, the flanker position, normally so competitive, but a couple of flankers dropping off this week. Two people that did stand out to me. I thought Tipuric had quite a good game at number 7 in terms of tackle rate. Again, I mean, Wales were under so much pressure in that game. The tackle rates were flying all over the place. Don't actually know how many tackles Tipuric missed, but I thought he had a real good defensive game. Really got in there. Didn't manage to get as many turnovers as I thought he would, but obviously Ireland knew he's the big jackler, so they managed to clear him out a lot of the time. But for me, my number 7 standout has to be Hamish Watson. I thought he had an incredible game. Again, another one that just seemed to be everywhere. I don't know what it is this year already. Players just seem to be giving their all. I'm absolutely loving it. Hamish Watson got some real fantastic turnovers at the correct time when they needed them, including right at the end of that game, managing to get that final turnover, kicking the ball out on his own. His tackle rate was brilliant, an absolute threat on the pitch, and I think he really played an integral part in beating England at Twickenham. So my number 7 is going to be Hamish Watson. Number 8 was a real close affair for me. I've sort of gone one or the other depending on who I think, but I am going to do it this way around. My runner-up for my number 8 is going to be Matt Fagerson. Another great game from him. I think he's really improving for that Scotland team. I think he's securing that number 8 shirt for Scotland. I think Matt Fagerson's playing really, really well. I thought he did so fantastically against that England team. Real danger runner, fantastic tackler. He's becoming a real, real big impact. But for me, my number 8 is going to go to CJ Stander. I imagine a few people would probably pick CJ Stander here. He had one of the best games I've seen him play in an awful long time. Again, another player that just seemed to be everywhere. I hate that I keep saying that, but he seemed to have about 15 carries. He just, every time the ball came out anywhere, he was in the backfield, he was in a blitz defense, he was right up on the try line, he was just everywhere. I thought he had a fantastic game. Tackle rate again was superb. The carrying, he just looked like he wanted to kill the person in front of him, breaking through tackles, making good meters. To me, number 8 has to go to CJ Stander. Number 9, I think it's going to be pretty uncontested for a lot of people. Of course, the standout here, I haven't even got another name close to him, has to be Antoine Dupont. I think he had a superb game, just showing off why he got player of the tournament last year. Got himself a try, set up a try. Him and Teddy Thomas working together real well. Such an aggressive threat. I mean, he is absolutely the best 9 in the world to me at the minute. I think he's fantastic, and he showed off in that Italy game just how good he can be. To me, number 9 always going to belong to Dupont. At number 10, there weren't a lot of number 10 standing out to me in this round. Sexton had a relatively decent game all round. Garbisi was the standout player for Italy, but Italy overall weren't that brilliant, so I don't know how much of a praise that is. Finn Russell, I thought, had a relatively decent game. The only problem with him was very inconsistent. Of course, he had bad discipline, getting himself a yellow card. He was missing a couple of kicks, not very good, but his actual playmaking was pretty decent. So for me, I've just gone for absolute competency. The overall reliable guy of the round, which to me was, of course, Jalibert. I thought he had a relatively good game all round. I can't really pick out a lot of weaknesses he had. He had a couple of real nice little line breaks, a couple of good runs. He had all of his kicks going over. I think he was absolutely competent. He's the guy you can rely on. So I think for me, not necessarily standing out, but just sheer ability to do the basics, do the advanced stuff, land that number 10 shirt, has to go to Jalibert. Number 11, there were not a lot of left wingers really standing out in this round. A lot of more action was happening on the right wing for pretty much every team, basically. James Lowe had a good game. He was just getting shut down so well. I really thought that Louis Rees-Zammit had a good game shutting down James Lowe. But I think for me, again, there's one standout man, Duhan van der Merwe. What a threat that man is becoming in a Scotland team on the up and up. This guy is an absolute machine. He takes about 3 people to tackle him. His try he scored, he got tackled by about 3 people and still scored a try. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I can see him having a long career in that number 11 shirt for Scotland. He is an absolute workhorse. Loving a bit of Duhan van der Merwe on the scene, so he gets my number 11 shirt. Number 12 had a couple of people putting their hands up. I thought Cameron Redpath had a really good debut. Didn't get sort of beaten down based on that it was going to be a big game against England at Twickenham. What a time to make your first appearance for Scotland. He did a really good game, but nothing too standoutish, but he didn't let the side down. He really held his own. Was very impressed by him. Ficou, I thought, had a really good game as well for France. Playing again a bit more of a defensively. He did get himself a try, which was nice to see at one point, but I think overall the number 12 that stood out most to me was Robbie Henshaw for Ireland. I thought he played so well through the whole game, and then he disappeared for a bit. He had a head injury assessment. He came back on. He wasn't having any of it. He's just come straight back on, playing again. Absolute threat in that team. Absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to seeing Robbie Henshaw. And I wonder whether or not he might have taken that shirt away from Bundy Aki at the minute. Robbie Henshaw's a real big threat, so he's going to take my number 12 shirt. Number 13, another big contested shirt here. Ringrose, of course, on the outside, was doing really, really well. He had a really good game, some fantastic lines. Defensive effort was really good, actually. Ringrose I've always had down to not be the most sustainable defensive centre, but he had a fantastic game against Wales. Really, really impressed me. Another one that did stand out, George North. It was nice to see didn't get him get broken in that centre partnership. I did say in my preview video for that game, I thought that it was a bad mistake putting him in centre. He should have put him on the right wing where he's playing so well at the Ospreys. I would have tried to keep him in that form. He had a good game at centre. He did manage to get himself a try. He didn't let too many people get past him in terms of defence. I thought he had a good game, but the standout to me was, of course, Arthur Vincent. I thought he had a fantastic game in that 13 shirt. A little bit wobbly for the first sort of 10-15, but as soon as he settled into that game on the outside of Ficou, he was everywhere again. Great passes, great running lines, making superb meters for their team. I think the 13 partnership's going to go really well. I know they're going to miss Vakatawa, but I think he's a good replacement. He gets my number 13 shirt. Over to the right wing, of course, number 14, Sperandio. I thought had quite a nice little game, get himself a try out of the Italian team that just couldn't get a lot of momentum generated. He managed to get that little breakaway try, which I'm sure France won't be too happy with. Reece Zammit, I thought, had a really solid defensive and attacking work. He got a try in there, but the main thing for me was that Wales finally seemed to have a right winger who is defensively pretty sound. I think he really shut down James Lowe. I think he had a really good game overall, but the standout 14, I'm sure a lot of people will probably agree with this one, Teddy Thomas. What a game. Again, just rapid. I thought Italy would know how dangerous Teddy Thomas is. I thought they would try and shut him down a bit. I thought that's why they were going to put Ioane on that left wing, trying to stop him making a lot of ground. We know how dangerous he can be. So many meters made, so many defenders beaten. We know how good his step is. And of course, getting himself a try and also not being greedy and giving Dupont a try. I think he's superb. He gets my number 14 shirt. And finally, the fullback position, that 15 position. I thought Keenan had a pretty good game, running about everywhere trying to recover. He seemed to take over the role, seeing as Peter O'Mahony came off. He seemed to be involved in rucks, involved in passing, involved in scrum half, involved in the backfield. He seemed to be running his socks off. He's trying to maintain that 15 position. Dulan, I thought, had a great game as well for France. He was doing a lot of work in that backfield. We knew he was going to get quite a few balls kicked over to him. But overall, the 15 that stood out for me, and again, I'm sure a lot of people agree with this, Stuart Hogg. A man who I have not spoken very highly of for the past couple of years amongst sort of friends and stuff. I know a lot of people love Stuart Hogg, but for me, Stuart Hogg has been subpar for a long, long time. And I think people seem to just believe he's great because of how good he used to be. He hasn't done brilliantly recently. He gets little flashes of playing superb, but this was without a doubt the best game I have seen Stuart Hogg play in a good couple of years, and was just solid everywhere. Under the high balls in terms of kicking, counter running, attacking, even his defensive work, which can sometimes be left a little bit wanting. I thought Stuart Hogg had a superb game, and I think absolutely deserves to have that 15 shirt. And there we are, guys. That is my team of the week for round 1 of the Six Nations 2021. Of course, this is just my opinion. This is just who impressed me on the day. There's not a great deal of stats or stuff to go with that. I've just picked out people I saw live who I thought did a great job. I'm sure everyone has a very different view on it. So make sure you drop down in the comments who your 1 to 15 are, who impressed you the most. And to finish off, I thought it'd be nice just to talk about the fantasy league we've got going on. A couple of people got involved, and I'm really happy so many people have joined in with the fantasy league, trying to get involved with the channel a little bit more. So I thought we'd run through how they went at the end of the first round. So in terms of the actual fantasy tournament that we've got going on, where you have to pick players and depending on how well they do is how many points you get, I somehow find myself at the top of that tournament. I don't know how that's happened. I thought I had some real bad picks. I've managed to just go ahead, so I'm not going to congratulate myself. That's a bit weird. I do have the name Scott Who on there. That's a bit of an inside joke between me and some friends. But well done to Clansman, who came in second, only 10 points behind, so it's pretty close. And then a joint third place for Rodri of Wales and Spider Fishy coming in on that 168. So again, only a point behind. So there's only 11 points between 1 and 4. I think it's going to be really close. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next round brings, how close we can keep that together. I thought I was going to get run over. I picked a lot of Irish and a lot of English players and they just didn't turn up for me. But I think a lot of people have the same views. I've already seen a couple of comments on my videos of people going back and looking at my predictions and telling me what a bad job I did. They are predictions, guys. They are guesswork based on some knowledge that I have. Obviously, once the game has happened, my videos have no impact on the game, so don't listen to me all the time. And then also on the channel, of course, we have the Predictor that's also on Superbru. This is where you pick who you think is going to win each game and by how many points, and you get points based on that. So I actually find myself in third at the end of this, which I didn't pick well at all. I did pick the France game absolutely perfectly in the video, which I clicked to win France to win by 40 points, which for some reason my game decided to pick it for 36, which isn't what I picked, but there we go. I still got the points. I did well in that first round, but well done to Maddie taking that first position there, getting a great choice with the Wales team, and Cameron Fish coming in at second there. We're joint at the minute, Cameron. I'm coming for you. I'm going to try and overtake you at some point. I find myself down in third. But thank you to everyone who did join in and found it a bit of a laugh just to get involved a bit more with the channel and enjoy a bit of the Six Nations together. I think it makes it a bit more exciting, makes you root for some of the games you might not be as interested in, just to hope your team can do a little bit better in the fantasy. So the codes are going to be there if anyone fancies joining in from now. It's going to be a bit hard probably to catch up because we've already missed a week, but I will put the links down in the description just in case anyone fancies it. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I cannot wait for the next weekend of rugby. And of course, those previews will be coming out later in the week for those games that are coming out on the weekend. I will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.